Shawn from Byron, Illinois. I was rewatching the 1997 Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 13 and was wondering what was going on. Stone Cold wins the Rumble but never challenges for the title at WrestleMania and instead has one of the greatest matches of all time against Bret Hart. Why didn't they just make Bret Hart versus Stone Cold the main event for the championship instead of Undertaker against Psycho Sid? Was Stone Cold originally supposed to win the Rumble in 97? I feel like I get a question about this time period from time to time. It is, in a lot of ways, it is a fascinating period to go look back on because there were so many what ifs, things that should have happened and didn't, and you know, back and forth with the top, basically 4 or 5 names in WWF at the time. But the answer is no. Bret Hart was originally supposed to stand tall and win the Royal Rumble in 97. As the story goes, and there are different versions of this, I can't tell you with 100% certainty that the version that I believe to be real that I'm going to tell you here is exactly how it went down. But my belief, the story that I've always heard and bought into, and The Torch and The Observer covered this. They had similar accounts, actually, in both newsletters at the time. They thought that the finish, they being WWF, thought that the finish of the Rumble was too predictable. Vince Russo at the time was doing his Vic Venom gimmick on Livewire. He was from the magazine, and they would have him on. And he was this, you know, cocky New York guy, and he would come on and talk like this, bro. So they had him on Livewire. He predicted on television one week, he predicted that Bret Hart is going to win the Royal Rumble. And apparently that got him some heat, and that upset a lot of people who thought that he basically gave the finish away. And so that was part of the reason why they changed it. The Final Four match in February at the In Your House pay-per-view was originally going to be for the championship. And it was going to have Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, and Psycho Sid. And that got changed to a Final Four match involving the Final Four men that were left in the Royal Rumble match after they did that whole controversial finish. Austin was never supposed to headline WrestleMania in any of these scenarios. Steve Austin was never going to headline WrestleMania or challenge for the championship. What has always intrigued me about this is that there were reports that for whatever reason, the decision was made for Sid to beat Shawn Michaels and get back the WWF title on that live Raw show, Raw Thursday, which I think was in, it wasn't in Boston, it was in Lowell. I think it was in Lowell, Massachusetts. He was going to beat Shawn and get the championship back. That was the same show where Shawn instead ended up giving this speech about his injury, and he forfeited the title. He lost his smile. But I guess originally he was going to drop the belt to Sid on that show, and instead they would do Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels, non-title, as the co-main event of WrestleMania, and instead Undertaker would challenge Sid for the championship on top. If that's the case, then the Final Four match would have had Sid be the one defending, not Shawn. Although Shawn would have been in the match, along with Bret and along with Undertaker. And I have to assume that something would have been done with Bret and Shawn in that match to lead to them having their rematch at WrestleMania. You know, maybe Bret eats the fall in the four-way, and that way they protect The Undertaker, who was going to go on to win the title at Mania. You don't want him taking the pin. And to avoid Shawn taking the fall, since Shawn was probably going to end up putting Bret over at Mania, in return for Bret doing the same for him the year before. So maybe they have the Final Four match and Bret gets pinned and starts up an issue with Shawn, and that's how you get there. But Shawn got hurt. He claimed his knee was so bad he might have to retire. So doctors have said he might not be able to come back. He might have to retire. And so that took him out of the picture. Now, Shawn did have knee problems. That's not a lie. Shawn Michaels, he might have had a torn meniscus. I forgot the exact injury. He had knee problems. Anyone who wrestled his style was going to end up with knee problems. So he definitely had knee problems. He would wear knee braces from time to time. But were they so bad that he had to give up the title and drop out 5 weeks before WrestleMania? That's where I have always believed that he was completely full of shit. That he over-dramatized it. He was hurt, but he wasn't that hurt. In any event, where would that have left Steve Austin? That's the mystery here. If you have Undertaker occupied with Sid, and Bret is occupied with Shawn, if he's able to go, then we don't get one of the greatest matches in the history of that company. I've heard reports that, Austin was going to wrestle the British Bulldog. I've heard that he was going to wrestle Vader. I mean, there weren't very many other options for him on that card outside of, names like Vader and Bulldog. I mean, who else was there? But things worked out. Think about it. Things worked out for the better. Bret suffered his own knee injury. He had to have his knee scoped a couple months later. So he was out for a while. They put him in a wheelchair on TV. Had he won the championship as originally planned, I mean, maybe he would have gutted the injury out. But if his knee was that bad that he needed surgery, well, that would have been pretty bad if their champion was going to go down, with an injury. So instead, what did it give them? It gave them several extra months to really turn him and build him up as a heel, and the Hart Foundation thing, all the stuff they were able to do before SummerSlam, and then he won the championship. They built him up as a heel, and then they put the title on him. So the timing worked out until the fall, when they let him sign with WCW, of course. He's their champion. Oh, we'll give you permission to go sign with WCW. We're not going to take the belt off you, but we're going to give you permission to go negotiate with WCW. Yeah, that's real bright. That's why I love how people give Bret Hart shit in this scenario. There's a little bit of blame to go around when it comes to the Montreal stuff, Bret, Shawn, Vince. Nobody's innocent. But all the people who love to shit on Bret Hart, at the end of the day, they allowed their champion to go negotiate with the competition. He would not have been able to do that without Vince McMahon's blessing. And he never thought to take the championship off the guy. He didn't even have to put it on him in the first place at SummerSlam. Can't blame Bret Hart for that. You blame Vince McMahon. He's the idiot. He put himself in that position. But no, let's blame Bret Hart for that. It's all his fault. So, yeah, obviously things got a little dicey for them in the fall when that whole Survivor Series situation came about. So basically what I'm saying is it was great timing until it wasn't.